Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit True of My Chest and it's by user HumbleDriver3696. I left my wife and it took her over a week to notice. I, 35 male, was married to my wife, female 35, for 8 years. I left her 5 years ago. We were child-free by choice. Her choice. I had always said we had a good relationship and marriage, but looking back, I see that it was good for her. Here's my story. I've always been the nerdy type. Smart, good grades, but never popular. I am from a very wealthy family due to my grandparents' inheritance and some smart investments my parents made. I did not have to go to college or work and still have a comfortable life, but I love that I did. I met my wife in my first year of college. She was in my class and looking for a tutor. She was a scholarship kid. We spent more and more time together, but never on the weekend. I wasn't the outgoing type and she would still go out on the weekend. After a while, we started going on dates, and after I graduated, we got married. Looking back, she started making decisions for us as soon as we got together. My wife worked the first half of our marriage, and when her company downsized, she got laid off. She became a stay-at-home wife who was not at home that much. She had friends she took trips with, had a lot of lunches and dinners with her friends. Basically, spent my money on her well-off lifestyle. While I remember our love life being passionate in the beginning, it's just that, a memory. When I was 29, I was involved in a car crash. They say a drunk driver totaled my car, but I still have no memory of that day. I was in a coma for 2 weeks. After waking up, I had to learn to do a lot again, and after 4 months, I went back to work. When I came back home, my wife put me in the spare room. She said it had been like that for a while because I was snoring. I kept my mouth shut, but I knew that this was new. The accident somehow gave me clarity of mind. I could see that the marriage had been over for a while, but I still wanted to see if I could save it. Everything I tried failed. What sealed the deal for me was my 30th birthday. I came home and she was not home. She was having a spa day with her friends. I ordered takeout, watched a movie, and made a decision. I wanted out. The next morning, I went to my lawyer to start drafting divorce papers. I stopped engaging with her unless necessary. Slowly, I started selling anything that had any emotional value to me. I left all her stuff for her. I bought a new car and I left it in a parking garage not so far from our home. 1 month later, all I had left were my clothes, a couple of laptops, a projector, and a portable screen. Everything I needed to work from the road. I did not quit my job. I arranged for it to be completely remote. 2 months after my birthday, I stayed home while my wife was at yet another lunch with her girls. I took the new car, packed everything I needed in it, left the divorce papers and a letter on my bed in the spare room, and closed the door to my house for the last time, wondering how long it would take for her to notice. I decided to drive cross-country and visit every place I wanted to go, but couldn't because my wife hadn't wanted to. We had a prenup, so she had no right to ask anything. In the letter, I explained everything. I told her I was leaving and I would leave her the house and the car and pay a sum every month for exactly a year. After that, she was on her own. In my own stupidity, I forgot to mention why I was leaving. This would work out in my favor though. 10 days after I left, I got a text from my wife asking me where I was and if this was a joke. She called me, but I didn't pick up. I never pick up the phone while driving. I had an automated text sent that said, "I am driving, I will call back later." She sent me text after text after text. That night, I stopped in a motel and decided to read the texts before calling her back. First, she was asking if this was a joke, then asking when I will come back, then begging me to come back, not knowing why I left, and then she said something. She said she was sorry and it didn't mean anything and she will cut him off. She was having an affair. Something I never suspected. I called her cell phone and she was at her parents'. I learned this tactic from TV. She started yelling at me and I hung up. I waited 1 minute and called back. She started yelling again and I hung up again. I waited 2 minutes and called back again. This time she wasn't yelling and I started talking. I told her she was going to let me talk first, and after I said what I needed to say, then she could ask questions. I told her why I left. We were married but living like roommates. Not even roommates because they at least acknowledge each other. I don't remember the last time we had a conversation. The last time we did something together. I didn't remember the last time we had sex, but I know it was before the accident. I told her that for a month before leaving, I stopped talking and sold everything I had in the house, and she didn't even notice. That it took her 10 days after I left before she noticed I was gone. If she had called me on the day I left, I would have turned around immediately. I ended with, "Thank you for admitting to the affair. I really didn't know about that." She tried to apologize, and when she asked me to come back, I asked her why. If she could explain to me why, I would consider it. What was in it for me? What would change? She couldn't answer. So I said goodbye and told her my lawyer knows how to contact me. Then I blocked her. The next day I bought a new phone with a new number and left the old one in the hotel. 2 weeks later, I got an email from my lawyer stating that the divorce papers had been signed. I was free. I kept my word. My lawyer already had all the documents signed by me that would transfer ownership of the house and the cars to her. The bank automatically deposits a fixed amount to our shared account every month for a year. Where are we now? For the past 5 years, I have been driving across the country working remotely. I finally had a reason to start social media. I posted online where I've been and where I'm going. I stay in a place for a couple of weeks and drive to the next. My ex-wife started following me on Instagram a year after I left, and out of curiosity, I looked at her public posts. I'm not planning on following her back. She posted pics with her boyfriend soon after I left. To her credit, she did not badmouth me, at least not on Instagram. 2 months after I left, they apparently broke up. That was the last time I really had an update on her. I also have a sex life now. Once I put myself out there, it turned out to be easier to have casual sex, no committed relationship. Now, after years, I'm going back to my hometown. There is a reunion I want to attend. I'm staying for a month, maybe 2, and then I'm going to Canada. I have no plans of looking up my ex, but I will also not actively avoid her. If I see her, I'll see her. If I don't, I don't. Alright, well, this story sets up a very interesting question. OP's not asking for judgment or advice, so this allows me to actually ask you guys a question. Just about 2 or 3 days ago, I read another story about an OP that blindsided their partner with divorce papers. Granted, that partner turned out to be a complete psycho, but we didn't know that in the beginning. Now, for that OP, I said that it wasn't nice to just blindside with divorce papers. However, in this case, I feel the situation is different and it's okay for what OP did. I believe the term is nuance, but I may be wrong, so if I am wrong, please correct me in the comment section. Now, here are the differences that I see. In the other post, OP mentioned that they had been going to therapy, trying to work on their relationship, and it ended up being that the partner was asexual, that they found out through counseling about this, and they told that to OP. This was a clear deal breaker for OP, and OP just wanted out of their relationship. Which again was absolutely valid, I just didn't agree with the way that OP wanted to go about it. However, for this OP, I do agree about just leaving the divorce papers and walking away because OP's wife just stopped being a wife a long time ago. She wasn't even trying. She wasn't even engaging. She didn't realize OP had left. They hadn't spoken in a month. As opposed to the other OP that was in couples counseling and they were trying to figure something out. Now granted, today's OP's wife is a cheater, so that absolutely solidifies the divorce, but OP didn't know that when he acted. So the question is, do you guys think I'm wrong? Do you guys think that because I wasn't okay with the first OP just blindsiding the partner with divorce papers, I shouldn't be okay with today's OP as well? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And now let's move on to the next part of the story that is a Q&A with a lot more information, and after that we'll finish the story with the update. There were a lot of questions in my previous post, so I'll answer the most common questions here. People have asked me and even criticized me for leaving her the house. The answer is actually very simple. I wanted to leave. I made up my mind that I was going to travel and didn't want anything tying me down. Selling the house would have taken long. Leaving it to her was the fastest option. Additionally, my conscience wouldn't have allowed it. She might not be a good person, but I try to be one. Leaving her homeless would have weighed heavily on me. Remember, there's a reason I married her, because I loved her at one time. There are people who think this is fake because I was traveling during COVID. The answer is not that simple, but can be summed up in 2 words: carefully and illegally. About my work. I've been working remotely for the past 5 years. 3 years ago, I switched jobs to a new company and position, but I'm still remote. There was never a necessity to come into an office. I've invested in a satellite internet connection, which, yes, was provided by the company. Now, I have high-speed internet everywhere I go. I have key performance indicators, or KPIs, that I need to reach every 2 weeks. I can set my working hours as long as I meet the KPIs. About Canada. I'm not migrating to Canada, I'm just visiting. I visit one place for a few weeks, then move to the next, and repeat. People have been asking for my social media account. I'm not going to share it. I came to Reddit for the anonymity. I still have a lot of people I know who don't need to hear the whole story. My social media has been private for a couple of years now. Only friends and family follow me. When my ex-wife started following me, I didn't know much about the privacy settings. Now I do, and I never bothered to remove her as a follower. I discussed a lot of things with my therapist. Yes, the way I left was me subconsciously giving her a chance to notice and stop me. I didn't want her to think I was harming myself. I wanted her to stop me from leaving. And while I want to say I'm over it, I'm going back to my hometown after 5 years with a probability that I run into her. So that triggered my post. Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned the sex part, but that was my ego talking. After that marriage with a very dull sex life, I had to mention that I finally had a sex life. About the divorce being smooth. Listen, when I said she signed the papers, that didn't mean everything was said and done. I said I was free because I felt free. Divorce proceedings still take some time, and when you have a good lawyer and you are traveling, court sessions can be held over Zoom. While it was relatively fast, it certainly wasn't 2 weeks. So her signing the papers was the moment I felt free, not the divorce being finalized. P.S. Some people made some Reacher comparisons. I just found out there's a TV show, and I only knew about the movies. Looks like I've got 2 seasons to catch up on. That is a great show. Alright, well, OP apparently answered a lot of questions that were in the comment section, which now means that we move on straight to the update to see how the story ends. But before that, if you're enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to click that like button, leave a comment, or answer the question I posed before, and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Now, let's finish this story with the update. So, I met my ex-wife, or let's rephrase that, we ran into each other, or rather she ran into me. I was at a cafe and had just ordered lunch when a woman took a seat at my table. She looked at me in disbelief and said something like, "It's really you." I must have looked puzzled. Then she said, "You don't recognize me, do you?" I took a closer look and recognized her. I mean, I hadn't seen her in 5 years and wasn't expecting to see her. All of a sudden, she was sitting in front of me. It took me a few seconds before I recognized her. She looks different. Her hair is different in style and color. She's wearing glasses again. The last time I remember her, she was in college and her makeup was modest in contrast to the tons of makeup she used to wear. I'm not going to lie, she looked beautiful. She wanted to catch up. I planned on being cordial, so I told her we could have lunch together, but that I had plans afterward. So I had her join me for lunch, and here's what I learned. Most of her friends left her because she couldn't afford their luxury spa days, lunches, trips, etc. She sold the house and now lives in an apartment. She has a job now, and that's where she met the guys she's seeing currently. She has a good life now, and it's normal, not extravagant. I know Reddit wants me to hate her and enact some kind of nuclear revenge, but I don't need that. We won't be friends, but that doesn't mean we have to be enemies. Yes, I paid for lunch, and yes, I hugged her goodbye afterward. I'm not giving her my contact information, but I did add her back on Instagram. I think that's enough. On another note, a remote co-worker who found my story on Reddit invited me to a small country in South America. I'm seriously considering it. I mean, the food. He suggested driving through his country. It's not a big country, so it would only take a couple of weeks. He's a biker and I don't know how to ride one, so I'd just followed him and his girlfriend in a car. Well, OP, I gotta say, I think this is a great update. And not because you met her or you talked to her or you saw— no, I don't really care about your ex-wife. I'm talking it's a great update because you are most definitely in such a better place. And apart from that, there's really not much more to say. So I'm just gonna wish you the best of success in this trip that you're taking. Hopefully it's an awesome experience like the ones you've been having up to so far. Take care, OP, and thank you for sharing. And now, let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Petty Revenge, and it's by user CharmingUniversity98. Back in college, I had better credit than my 3 other roommates, so I put our internet and TV under my name. Otherwise, the deposit would have been $600. The cable company offered me a $300 Visa gift card upon sign-up. 2 months later, I called them because the gift card never arrived. They told me they sent it a few weeks ago, and eventually I was able to find out from Visa that someone used it at the Whataburger, Target, and liquor store near my house. I'm pissed off because obviously one of my roommates had used it, but I didn't know which one. A few weeks later, roommate number 2 complained that their $200 birthday gift card to Target had gone missing. His mom still had the receipt, and the store was able to tell her that someone had used it at the Target near our house. He's obviously pissed off too, but we've now realized it's probably one of the other 2 roommates. A couple of weeks after that, roommate number 3's wallet disappears. We turned the house upside down and looked for it, and we knew it had to be in the house because her car key was attached to her wallet, and her car was parked at the house. She is absolutely frantic, sobbing, screaming, hyperventilating, etc., throwing crap everywhere and just having an absolute meltdown while tearing the house apart. We had never seen her behave like this, so we were all quite surprised she'd be that upset about her wallet. It's stressful, sure, but I genuinely was concerned about how she was reacting. She says the gift card thief must have taken it, implying it is roommate number 4, the only person who hadn't had something stolen yet. A few days after that, I found her wallet in the trunk of my car. We had gone to get groceries together, and I guess she must have laid it in the trunk while we were unloading. I was like, holy crap, I found her wallet. And then I opened it up because I was just excited to confirm that I indeed found her wallet. Bam! Both stolen gift cards are front and center, no doubt. The Visa gift card had my name printed on it, and roommates number 2's mom had written something in Sharpie on his gift card. I realized she had a meltdown because she was afraid we'd find out she was the thief. I left the wallet, cash and all, right where it was, pushed up against the inner lip of the trunk so you couldn't see it unless you leaned further into the car. I didn't confront her because I hated confrontation back then and was a huge people pleaser. I wanted everyone to like me. Also, I enjoyed watching her suffer. The locksmith wouldn't make her a new key without the title, which was in the glove box of her locked car. She had to have her car towed to the dealership. I do remember she called the locksmith the first day her wallet was missing because she initially thought the wallet was in her car. She was super mad that the locksmith charged her for the weekend visit without actually unlocking her car. Was he taking advantage of a stupid college girl? Maybe. This was over a decade ago. I was 21 and I'm sure my vodka-addled brain did not fully absorb the details of her whole ordeal. All in all, she spent about $500 replacing her DL, title, and keys. Not to mention not being able to drive her car for 2 weeks. I moved out of state with her wallet still in my car, and several months later, I finally tossed it in the trash. Sometimes the universe assists you with petty revenge. Well, OP, as they say in my country, and I would assume in other countries as well, ladrón que roba ladrón tiene 100 años de perdón. A thief that steals from another thief gets a pardon of 100 years. Thanks for sharing, OP. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out, so here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later, and also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.